movement, the CPDM. Welcome.
Thank you, Anabila. Good evening to all panelists this evening.
All right. Let's just go straight to one of my questions. Any Cameroonian listening to President Paul Biya's end of year message a while ago will notice clearly that it was filled somehow with promises. President Paul Biya talked about the Nastika Dam, which will be made possible, operational in some days to come. You have the CPDM. Don't you see that's another promise from President Paul Biya, which Cameroonians are not very sure might be fruitful in the days to come, like he said?
Contrary to your opinion, in his true to his clairvoyance and magnanimity, the head of state substantiated projects that have been realized within 2023 and made a promise on other future projects that will be realized in 2024. You realize that we are going through a global crisis, and he talked about stabilization of inflation, and you see that within his clairvoyance, the inflation that Cameroon was going through has stabilized. He talked about bringing water to the city of Yaoundé and Douala, which is very, very optimistic in the development process of this country. He talked about the energy sector. He talked about the petroleum sector and all other sectors.
Yes, he spoke about so many things, but I wanted also to begin with water, because we know that water and electricity, water is life, and electricity is very essential for the functioning of every nation. I'm coming back to you, Mr. SHUNEH. Sylvanus MUTAGHA, you're the CRM. Thank you so much for accepting to be with us tonight. I want to find out from you. President Paul Biya said studying how potable water can be provided to Cameroonians in the 21st century. Should we still be talking about studying how to provide potable water to Cameroonians?
Nabila, this is my very first time of accepting to analyze President Biya's speech since over 40 years that he's been in power. I think it's because at one time in life we should learn to tolerate the actions of those we might not admire. President Biya is in his logic of studying. You know, one time he said he's a student of France, and certainly he's still studying to see how he can get instructions from France on how to provide potable water for Cameroonians. We are talking of providing potable water to the major cities of Cameroon, and I ask myself, what has he done so far for the rural areas? So he's still in that logic of that if Yaoundé breathes well and Douala breathes well, the entire nation is fine. It's going fine. So this is a lie from the pit of hell, and that is the reason you see that a majority of Cameroonians have left the rural areas, this rural urban migration, and our cities are flooded with people who ought to have been gainfully employed in agriculture in the rural areas today, simply because the rural areas have been abandoned, and all what he thinks of is the city. Many of our youths are trained, maybe on general education, and they are supposed to be on the agricultural sites where they have to cultivate, because we know agriculture contributes about 70% of the gross national domestic product of our nation.
I just want us to talk about power shortage and water scarcity. I asked the question, should we be talking about studying how to provide water to Cameroonians, because water is vital and it is life? Don't we see that as a failure to on the part of the Biya government? In the 21st century, we are talking about studying how to give water, provide water, potable water to Cameroonians.
I said just before we have to analyze anything here, I said to you that Mr. Biya remains a student. He said one time that is a student of France. I wasn't saying so, missing words. And I said if we would be talking of the President of the Republic in the 21st century, saying he's studying on how to provide potable water for the people of Cameroon, and certainly only for the cities, it means the regime has failed. I still emphasize on the fact that the rural areas are abandoned. If you go to my place in Kruku, where I come from, in Batibot subdivision, you realize that the people have been left out of the government agenda of this nation. The water we are consuming, the local people are consuming, is being generated from a local dam, which the people struggled. They are using generator. You find that with the scarcity of fuel, kerosene and other like petrol, they have to buy with huge sums of money at times.
Money which they don't even have.
Money which they don't even have. So to think that we should be focusing on supply of water only for the major cities is a sign to show that the regime has failed.
Maybe the major cities lack water more than the villages, because the villages, we know that they have their springs and all of those. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sylvanus. Please, I'm coming back to you. Ernestine YENCHI, thank you so much for accepting to be with us tonight. You're of the civil society. With you, I want us to talk about security situations in the Northwest and the Southwest regions. President Paul Biya, in his end-of-year message, just told us that the situation has ameliorated, which means, like we used to say, it is under control. But he still talked about what happened in Mamfe, condemning firmly what happened in Mamfe. Not to talk about Mamfe, we noticed that in Guzang, people were killed in broad daylight. Right. So, and Paul Biya spoke about about the fact that he has instructed that people should be secure in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Do you see that security? Do you see it possible? Is it happening even in schools? Because we notice that even in schools there are still attacks because of very little security. So, can we say President Paul Biya is on the right track, that the situation has ameliorated in the Northwest and the Southwest regions?
Anabila, thank you very much for this invitation tonight. I think talking about the security in the Northwest and Southwest region, it has been a cry for everybody so far. And yet, we keep talking about it and no solutions are coming out. We don't know if they're going to kill maybe a whole village or everybody that's in the Northwest and Southwest before we're going to take this problem very serious. I became so impressed about when he actually quoted some of the instances of the killings,
of the attacks.
Especially the attacks or the killings in, he talked about Mamfe. We know those that have happened in other areas. I was so impressed, meaning he's aware of what is actually going on in the country. Meaning he's aware of the pain that Cameroonians are feeling. Meaning he, as the head of the nation,
he himself mentioned, he said that he is with Cameroonians, he's aware, and he stands with them.
I know he stands with us, but he should have given us, let's say, a green light. He's the father of the nation, and he should have given us maybe a solution to this particular problem. It's not only talking about it every day, talking about it every year, but at least we need a concrete solution to the Anglophone crisis. We have spoken time and again about dialogue. Till today, nothing is coming out.
No, there was dialogue. Maybe it wasn't dialogue like you guys wanted, but there was dialogue. Professor AKUHMBOM, Mark Anthony, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time. Do you, like Ernestine YENCHI, think that there is there has been any concrete move by the government to ensure that the situation in the South and the Northwest region, I don't want to say get ameliorated, but comes to an end, because there is no problem that doesn't have a solution? President Paul Biya seems to be telling Cameroonians that everything is under control. Do you see that way, or there is still so much to be done? Are we 20% gone, 50% gone, or we are still on the spot, on the standstill?
I wouldn't want to give any percentages of whatsoever has been done, or what will be done, or what should be done. Are we clear in this? Look at it. If everything is now under control, then there wouldn't have been the killing of the diasporan who came visiting Bali to spend the Christmas and was killed, I think, yesterday. If everything was under normalcy, the president would not have mentioned the killings at Ebeko. If everything was under control, we wouldn't have been talking about the situation where individuals were executed in Guzan. In broad daylight. We wouldn't have been talking about the killings that took place in Babanki. we wouldn't have been talking about the various captures and demand for ransoms which we see all over these two regions. And so I think the president has something to say, but he didn't convince us who are coming from those regions, who visit those regions every day. We are not saying nothing has not been done. A lot has been done, but whatsoever has been done is not the solution to the problem. And so we need a solution to the problem rather than condemnations. I heard the president condemning with all, in fact, his entirety. He condemned the situation in Mamfe. Yes, it is good, but we don't want condemnations. We need solutions. That's what Cameroonians need at the moment. When we keep talking about, well, we condemn, the president reminded us of the DDR, which is something that is an open door. Some of us will come on TV, we ask those who are still misbehaving to join in, take advantage, and save their lives through the DDR. But that DDR is not the only solution to the problem. The so-called national dialogue was not the dialogue that these people that we need to solve the problem in the Northwest and the Southwest region. We need a dialogue between the government and those individuals perpetrating this evil in the Northwest and the Southwest region. Let them talk and solve the problem. If this is done, we will not be talking about this again. We have spoken about it for 7 years. We don't want to be talking about it again.
We have to continue speaking until a solution is...
This is 7 years, and Nabila, 7 good years. This is too much for Cameroonians. I think something should be done with an immediate effect. We should stop hearing this thing that we keep on hearing every day. Condemnations, but no solutions.
Yeah.
Please, Mr. SHUNEH, you are of the CPDM, and Prof seems really angered by these condemnations, because this is the 7th year, and if I'm not mistaken, President Paul Biya has been condemning every 31st of December in his end-of-year address to the nation. That is not a solution. You and I know that.
Yes, in every political dispensation, there is always room for reconciliation. I think normalcy does not mean the absence of killings. The DDR that has been opened by the state of Cameroon is an open door for amnesty. We know so very well that the modus operandi of the secessionists is to create fear, panic, and make their environments ungovernable. And you will bear with me that those guys who are still in the bushes now committing all this havoc in the Northwest are no longer secessionist fighters. They are criminals who kidnap for ransom, who maim, create fear and panic in the community, and I think the government is doing everything possible to track and smoke them out of their holes, and I think the government is succeeding in its mission. And the Grand National Dialogue that took place some years behind, the resolutions of this dialogue are being implemented gradually, slowly, and steadily, and it is meeting its objectives. You know so very well that people who started supporting this cacophony in the beginning have changed position. You will find very few people now sitting on the fence as before. They are even crying and begging that they would have stayed where they belong rather than bring them into this quagmire. I trust the clairvoyance of the head of state and the government of this country that peace is gradually returning to the English-speaking regions of this country, and peace will come sooner than later.
Don't you think you're oversaying it there? Because to say that peace is gradually returning, if you speak with those who are there, they are not going to have the same language with you, Mr. SHUNEH. Now, President Paul Biya also spoke about a filthy nation. On Équinoxe television, we did report on fields in Cameroon. Bafoussam was dirty, Douala was dirty, Yaoundé was dirty. I'm sure that was what caught the attention of President Paul Biya, Mr. MUTAGHA, a dirty nation, and he said that he gave instructions, always instructions to local councils and the city councils to ensure that the towns and cities of Cameroon are clean. Do you think that those instructions were respected? Because even as we speak, Douala is not as clean as we would have loved it to be. Why not? Douala, Yaoundé, Bafoussam can be as clean as Limbe and other towns. It's possible. What is the problem? Nobody wants to live in a dirty environment.
Annabella, I will say that there's practically no sector in Cameroon that is working well. If you look at the electricity sector, we know the government is owing a new fabulous sums of money. If you look at the recent actions of workers of SIAKA, you find that most of them were constantly on strike. So they go months without salary. And you ask questions, why should our major cities be like dustbins? You find out that those who are supposed to be in charge of cleaning the cities are not being paid. So President Biya coming up to tell us that everything is under control and that he has instructed the government to see into it that the cities are catered for. I think those is just one of his calculated ploy to hold Cameroonians in slumber, to think that there is something positive that will come out from his speech. It's just one of the speeches, empty speeches, which he has been making since over 40 years. We know. If you go through the speech he made last year, 2022, 2022, before 2023, you find that he said it emphatically that the Baba-Jubamenda road was going to be completed before 2023.
And he repeated it today.
He repeated it. He will be repeating, and he said that he instructed the government to ensure that Douala is being furnished with potable water. That was a speech he made in 2022. He has still repeated it in 2023, and certainly it will be repeated in 2024. So he will still be there. So what I want to say is that sometimes I usually feel aghast, especially when you get militants of the CPDM speak with a lot of alacrity. They speak big grammar and then give the impression that everything is working well in the northwest and southwest region, whereas deep in their minds, they know that it's a lie from the pit of hell. It says things are gradually coming back to normal in the northwest region. Yes, that is what they say. They don't say everything is well. Nothing is gradually coming on. Because let's take, for example, just a simple road that is supposed to be constructed. We know that those caterpillars can be there, and then the security officers are portioned, and they are there 24 on 24, and the roads are being, it's being constructed. It is not done. Then it's not the reconstruction that you will be telling us that it is going on. Those boys at the DDR, sometimes I used to ask myself questions, if these are really those they removed from the forest, because you find that I visited DDR in 2022 in Boya. When I went, I visited those guys in prison. I left there, went to Bamenda prison. Most of them were there. They were already they were like revendicating that they want to leave. They were poorly treated. They were poorly treated. That they were to leave the DDR if nothing is being done. So the government rallied some guys. They went there. I'm sure had to give them some money just to calm them down, which is not what they promised them. They said they were going to rehabilitate them, train them on how to have a trade so that they can be useful in the community, not to get money and bribe them when they have revendications to make. That is not what the government
Mr. Sune, you're not responding. Madam Ernestine, please, because President Paul Biya spoke on so many issues that we might not be able to analyze all of them here. Another pertinent issue is teachers' plight. You said the teachers' problem, their preoccupation, their strike is valid, but the kids should not be put along with it. The kids, their education should not be forgone because they are asking for what is their due. And how can we put that together? The teachers, they are asking for what they need. If they are not given, they will go on strike. But President Paul Biya and the government, they don't want the children to be affected. How possible is that?
It boils down to the same cry everybody has, because if you're not well fed, how can you teach? The teachers themselves, they have their own expenditures. How would they meet it? And now they have to think about the children. So this boils down to the government coming together with those who matter. We're always talking about having meetings. Maybe they go and call people who are comfortable to talk with. But those who are greatly affected are never contacted. That is one of the major problems we're having in Cameroon. If teachers have problems, let them go down to the root and get those who really are affected. They talk to them, try to get a solution to the problem. Because you won't tell me a teacher will come to the class poorly dressed, not fed, and yet I have to think about the child he's teaching. That is practically impossible. I would like to come back about waste management in Cameroon.
First, please, because I also wanted us to talk about teachers and violence against women, which was not addressed by President Paul Biya. We know that about 80 women were killed in 2023 by their partners, let's say so, or they were kidnapped, assaulted, raped, and killed. But nothing about that was mentioned by President Paul Biya. Is it that he was less concerned about what the female gender is going through?
I don't think he's less concerned, or maybe he's not that informed. If I have to say the truth, maybe he's not that informed, because...
But we had it in the media, so many media houses spoke about it, so we cannot say that he wasn't informed.
I said he was not informed
expecting that he addresses it.
You know, when you talk about violence against women, in Africa, everybody stays quiet and nobody wants to take it serious.
Really?
So I think he's just acting as an African man who would not be blamed for what he's like. He's protecting his own gender.
I don't think it's true, madam.
Actually,
I don't think
that
it's
is
true,
what I'm going to say, because if not, why has these issues not been addressed? Every day on the media, we find women who are being killed by men, especially their spouse.
Recently, I came to it because we're talking about teachers. What went viral was a teacher who was killed by the partner who is in
here in Douala. Actually, I
was expecting the president say something about it, like let us be conscious that women have to be protected in the society. You easily mention that, and I'm sure that so many women out there, I don't want to say they are not very okay with the entire speech of President Paul Biya, with that kept aside. Prof, please let me come to you. There's this problem of fuel scarcity. All of us saw what happened. It was really complicated for Cameroonians, and some people even went as far as paying 3 times what they had to pay normally because petrol, fuel was scarce. And President Paul Biya spoke about subvention. Our problem is SUNEH, right? SUNEH had some issues which, if fixed, we can refine the crude oil we have. Now, what is the blockade? We keep asking the question.
SUNEH had never refined oil that is sold in Cameroon. So I don't think it's possible to talk about something that's not.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So I don't think we should talk about something that is not. He never said SUNEH only does a particular dimension of processing. It doesn't refine oil to the state which could be resold to Cameroonians. So the burning of SUNEH does not necessarily mean that it stopped anything. The one thing I wanted Cameroonians to know is that Mr. Biya as an individual and his government had done their best to subvent petrol fuel in Cameroon. But we have a problem in that we produce fuel, which we would have been able to establish refineries in this country that should process this thing and be resold to Cameroonians at a cheaper rate. But we keep selling the crude oil, then at a very cheap rate, then we buy oil, import. We are stressing up. And so I think the Cameroon government needs to go beyond that, create a situation where we can establish refineries in this nation.
So that's a refinery, which means we can ensure that the crude oil we have in Cameroon is refined in the country.
I will come back there. That refinery, as I said earlier, is practically not a refinery. Yes, it's not. I want to use the word refinery because it cannot refine oil.
It is.
It is just something that has been established in order to steal our oil and carry it to France. Then we buy oil from France, then we sell back in our country. So I think the Cameroon government needs to take over the authority from these people, then establish our own refineries. I think if that is done, Cameroon will be better off, and we will not be buying petrol at very expensive prices and all that.
With all the negative consequences it comes when fuel is scarce, the common man is the one that suffers. Mr. SHUNEH, you were itchy to say something.
Yes, I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that 90% of African men and Cameroonian men in particular suffer emotional violence from women. And that emotional violence from women to men is a reality, and that men are the breadwinners, but you know very well that men hardly reach the life expectancy age for men in Cameroon is 55. And they die because of emotional violence impacted on men.
Physical violence.
And then
more dangerous than physical.
the waste management issue in this country is as a result of urban disorder created by the citizens themselves. And I think the head of state has drawn the awareness of Cameroonians. The waste management companies are doing their best. You bear with me that when you go down street, downtown Aqua here, you find those dustbins that the waste management companies
but dustbins which are not emptied always
on time.
But the
people come and empty the waste on the floor. It is a problem that must be addressed. It's a problem that should be addressed.
The local councils to have a great role to play. If the dustbins are there and they're not emptied on time, you don't expect to have a clean city.
Yeah, but urban disorder is a reality.
They need to increase the
We are agreeing that urban disorder is a reality, and I think that they have liberalized the sector. Yeah. It is no longer a monopoly by SIAKA. It has been liberalized.
So,
just as they have
in other words, you're saying that as from January 2024, we're going to have clean cities.
We need to encourage citizens to invest in this sector by creating waste management companies and sign alliances with councils so that we can make our cities clean.
Mr. MUTAGHA, we will be leaving soon.
Yes, thank you. I just wish to remind Cameroonians that we are just moving into 2024. Like Professor Maurice Kamto said in his end of year speech, 2024 is going to be a very crucial year for Cameroonians, and they should know that it's a year for them to get registered on the electoral list, get their voters card, because we're expecting that President Biya will talk of the consensual reform of the electoral system, which he left out. We're expecting that President Biya will be talking about the Glencore issue, which is left out. We're expecting that we'll be talking on how the people who embezzle the COVID gate money, he left it out. We're expecting on him giving us a concrete way out for the Anglophone crisis by releasing those in prison he left out. We're expecting to hear him say something about the wife of Mr. Zambo Pascal that was assassinated in Yaoundé, and the case
less than 30 minutes. I cannot mention everything.
There are a lot of things that we expected him to say, but he didn't. So like I was saying, and I'll just a minute, I want to bounce back to what Mr. SHUNEH said. Our cities are dirty as a result of the fact that the companies in charge of cleaning them, the government is not paying the dues that they are expected to pay. So they should start paying the dues so that the workers should be there every morning and doing the job. Professor, we are leaving already.
I don't think our sitting here to discuss about the speech of Mr. Biya is going to change the state of Cameroon. And as I said earlier, Cameroonians have the responsibility to change Cameroon. Mr. Biya has done his in talking. Cameroonians, we have a lot of responsibility attached to this. He is the president, but being the president, we all know that he has failed in his duties, as we may say, in carrying us to where he promised us that he was supposed to carry us. But we still believe that all hope is not gone. We can do something with ourselves.
Exactly. When there is life, there is hope. Mr. SHUNEH, we are leaving already.
Yes, that true to tradition, the head of state addressed every sector of this country in his speech, and we need to join him and accompany him in this clarion duty of nation building. And that prophets of doom, like those of the MRC, will think that every good thing that comes from the government is bad. We just should have a change of mentality and join His Excellency Paul Biya in building a better Cameroon and a better future for our nation.
Not to forget that President Paul Biya as well spoke about frequent road accidents in major highways across the national territory, and also some road networks which have been rehabilitated, others which have been constructed across the national territory. I wish we had time to discuss all of those. He spoke about the Équinoxe Road, Babaji Bamenda Road.
I think the Babaji Bamenda Road is at execution rate of 75%, and the quality is impeccable.
Thank you.
I'm just coming from Bamenda. 70% execution and impeccable.
Viewers, thank you, please. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us. In English, we try to analyze some pertinent points which President Paul Biya highlighted in his end of year message. to Cameroonians that was today. And don't go away. In a minute, Sasha Lengoto will be here in the studio with other panelists to also analyze what President Paul Biya told Cameroonians in his end-of-year address to the nation. Thank you so much for being with us, and stay with us on Équinoxe Television. Happy New Year to you all.